Hello, everyone, and welcome back to VectoScalar Tech Talk show. I'm sure you must be doing something unique, something great, because in today's time, if we are not upgrading, if we are not changing ourselves, if we are not adding any new skill or offering to our umbrella of services, soon we may realize that we are getting outdated. And in the same context, we have an amazing guest speaker in this episode of VectoScalar Tech Talk. We have Deepak Goel, who is going to cover insights about fractional CTO, a new field, the rise of fractional CTO. Welcome, Deepak, to VectoScalar Tech Talk.
Yeah, hi, Vikas. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm really pleasure. It's really great to be here, and hopefully, I can share some insights for the team, and I can learn something from you as well for the day. Yeah.
I appreciate that. For the benefit of our audience, let me give you a brief introduction about Deepak Goel. Deepak Goel is founder of Fractional Services, a seasoned fractional CTO providing CTO as a service and helping startups SNME and SME. And he is having more than 18 years of corporate experience. He previously worked with as VP, Senior VP at DBS Bank, and worked with many such leading organizations. He has been helping startups with strategy consulting, digital transformation, technology innovation, agile product management, and saving 100K every year. That's a lot amount. So, Deepak, my first question would be around what is exactly fractional CTO? Because this term itself is so unique, not everyone is aware of. So, what is fractional CTO?
Yeah, because so before I get into what is fractional CTO, I'll just share a bit about what is the CTO in case if somebody is not familiar with this. So CTO stands
Sure.
for Chief Technology Officer, and what a Chief Technology Officer does is very convoluted. Like in the beginning, people know what is a CEO, what is a CFO, and the term CTO is very nuanced actually. Like a lot of people think in it in a different way. A lot of people assumes it is about technology only. A lot of people thinks it is about infrastructure, uh, but it's
True.
that, yes, but it's more than that actually. So a CTO defines technology roadmap of the company, how to strategize, how to build the product, how to execute the company strategy, how to do resource planning, how to do your infrastructure, and how you can sustain in production. How what is your long term vision? What is your mission? Right. So CTO is a key person who drives this for the company, right? And he is a technical arm of the company, right? And
Okay.
a CTO plays a different role depending on the need, right? It can be an
Yeah.
architect, it can be person who you work mm, as a medium between business and the technology, right? So over the years, it has
Sure.
many roles that a CTO plays. It depends on how company needs what they need, and then there are specialized roles that company hire, like for example, CISOs. They also hire some solution architects, right? That adds on as a part of the CTO role as well, and then they become very specialized. Generally, a CTO reports to CTO, CEO of the company, and they also sometimes reports to CIO as well. So far I spoke about what is a CTO, right? Now, what is a
Right.
fractional CTO? So so I'll get into the definition of fractional. It's a mathematical concept. Like we all know what is a fraction, right? So if I say I'm half or I'm quarter of my time that I'm spending with um, client A, that means I'm spending roughly 2 hours a day for my client. So it's basically a mathematical concept. That's how it become a fractional CTO, that you spend some of your time. It can be couple of hours a day, it can be a couple of hours a week or in a month, depending on the need, right? And that's the beauty of this concept, where as a startup or SMEs, they can have the executive leadership. They can leverage on the experience that people like me on the ground have it, because uh, if I talk about startups, there can be pre-seed startup, seed startup, Series A, Series B, Series C, and so on, right? So if I talk very specifically about seed or pre-Series A, right? So either these companies are not able to afford senior leadership because it comes as a very expensive role. It's one of the uh, key role in the company, right? But yet, if they don't have a leadership role, they will not be able to succeed. A lot of startups fail because they didn't do their engineering well. They pay a lot of technical debt. They get into a lot of troubles later, right? So
Okay.
either they are not able to afford it, or simply they do not need in the beginning, because you are just ideating, you are just validating your market, you are checking your product market fit, right? So you're just evaluating, and you need somebody who can drive your uh, concept. He can vision what you are building for next 2 or 3 years, and do what is needed right now at the ideation state, evaluate your product, build your MVP, and look at the future direction, what you want to build, and make sure it is aligned to the future direction, right? So that's what fractional CTO does actually, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's a very well defined explanation of fractional CTO, because you did a right job. That first, let's explain CTO, because some people might have different understanding of the word CTO itself, and then got into that what is fractional CTO, which definitely is fraction. You took a very beautiful example of mathematics, that there is part of it, but why do we need that part of fractional CTO? Now, having said that, Deepak, how you yourself got into the fractional CTO thing, because it's not the usual career that people will start getting into fractional CTO. How your career transition into fractional CTO?
So it is a bittersweet experience of mine, if I put it in one word, bittersweet.
Yeah.
So, so I was in very good position in my previous job, and uh, at at the experience that I have, I was well paid, a very good position. But back in my heart, I was not really happy. Not because the job was not good. It's just that knowing myself, my potential, and the skills that I have, I've been building a lot of products since 18 years. Right, I worked into startups with literally 5 people in the company, and I worked with teams, like teams with, which is 100 hour teams, right? And while had that kind of experience, I'm a kind of person who love to enjoy the technology more than politics, and I love to uh, create something that people are able to use it, right? So when you get into larger organizations, things become very process oriented. You deliver same amount of work that can be delivered in 1 month, it takes 6 months, right? So that was a part of frustration that came into my mind. And other was, I have multiple skills that I do. Like I have been playing as a solution architect in some roles. I've been playing as a Scrum Master. I've been playing as a technical product owner. I've been writing code. I've been consulting with businesses. I've been doing a lot of automations. Right. So I used to wear multiple hats, and I used to even do a support leading. Right. I used to manage vendors. Right. And even if I talk about technology, I have experience into building back-end applications, front-end applications, big data applications, or even bit into machine learning operations as well, right? So, so
Okay.
while I was having such a long history of building technology and a lot of technologies, I was not finding any single job that can leverage on my all my experience, and where I can learn few more things, right? So that's where uh, I left my job, and when I left my job, I didn't even have a remote idea about what is fractional CTO, and I just heard about this concept, and I thought after I leave my job, I'll find another job. But then something was always back in my mind. Do I want to do another job, same what I've been doing, and being continuously be unhappy about it, or can I do something? Should I start my own startup? Should I build another product, right? So I was evaluating this. I had a long, like, notice period for like 3 months, and then I came across this concept, and I was following one guy. His name is Oshri Kohan. So that was the first our person. Some one of my friend, he recommended it to me to look at this person, what he is doing, and I started following him on LinkedIn. I saw a couple of his podcasts, and I could resonate very closely with his experience, with his knowledge, with his frustrations. So it's like a mirror that I can see of myself in him, actually. And so I was very intrigued about the concept, and I started exploring more on it. I started to Google it. In the beginning, I didn't find anybody in Singapore. It's very few people I know in the beginning, but I saw there are hundreds of people across the globe, in United States, in Europe. I joined a lot of community on Slack, and I started learning about this concept during these 2 3 months while I was on notice period. And then I decided, okay, let me continue this.
Okay.
At least I don't want to regret in my life that I didn't try something other than my job, right? So I decided a time frame for myself. I will continue this for 6 months. If it works, I will continue. Otherwise, I'll pack up everything and get back to my job, actually. So it worked well. Initially, it was uh, I was very lost what to do, to be honest. It was a roller coaster journey, and now during this period, I learned a lot, and I see a lot of potential. And even I was planning, like, to see if I can find some more people in Singapore, network with them, learn from each other. And then I happened to attend an event in Singapore on fractionals. It was organized by a company, and I was very fortunate to connect with one of the panelists in the talk, and he's building a community, and I'm on the back seat. I'm just helping him a little bit, not much actually. He's the main key guy, is driving it. But why I'm talking about is I see the potential of this field actually now. At least I know more than 100 over people in Asia Pacific. They're not just into technology. This is a concept. You can have fractional as a CMO, chief marketing officer. You have fractional chief financial officer. You have fractional CHRO in human resource. You have fractional scrum master, right? So it's a concept basically. You specialize in your niche. What is something unique you are selling, right? How you can help companies, right? So
Sure.
so that's how this concept comes in, actually.
Okay. So you actually leveraged your all the skills very beautifully. That you had those agile skills which are required as a entrepreneur himself. And it is also interesting if we look closely that if you are working with a person who is an entrepreneur, the CEO, startup founder, it is required that we can understand their journey as well. So as a CTO also, when you ventured into it, you started your own startup. That means
Mm.
you can understand their life journey better, because otherwise probably a person who is only in job might not relate to that aspect of the CEO or the startup founder. Now, as you very well explained, that it's not just CTO that is evolving like a fractional service. There are other services which are part of the startup ecosystem that are also evolving as a fractional service. But Deepak, my question towards that is, specifically, is it actually possible, or how is it somewhat difficult to have a fractional CTO? Because when I talk to few people, they are of this perception that definitely we can outsource some of the services, even like HR services, we can outsource them. But a person who is supposed to make the, or probably very critical for the success of the product, how come that person is part time? Even with a full time effort, people are not able to deliver on time, and there are those challenges. So is it actually viable to have a part time CTO to build a successful product?
Definitely, yes. So I will share my experience so far. I mean, I started this journey last year in June, right? So I started with a company where there were only two founders. One was CEO. He knew what business to build, and there's another person who was doing marketing and generating the revenue for the company, but they didn't have any idea how to build the product, right? And they cannot even afford a CTO full time because first of all they don't have a team. They don't know how to hire a team, right? So I was looking for them like 10 hours a week, and the client of mine was in UK actually, right? And how I build the team, we build the team across the globe. I was hiring a couple of members in South Africa, in Nigeria. I had like three guys, back end, front end, and my DevOps guy. So, so beauty of this was when I was hiring this team, I did hiring of the smart people, right? And they were self capable, and we don't work like normal full time job, like a full time CTO, right? And how? Sorry, let me not go into that. I'll get back to your question in a summarized way, right? So so initially
Sure.
in the beginning, I was talking about startup and SMEs, right? So there are multiple reasons why part time CTO can work, right? Uh, so either you're not able to afford it, but you still need the expertise, the experience, right? So like if I talk about myself, I have around 17, 18 years of experience in technology. I've built multiple products, right? So either startups are not able to afford, or they don't even need in the beginning, right? Or let's say one of my clients that I'm currently working with right now, they already have a full-time CTO, and I'm still uh, additional hand that I come along with the existing full-time CTO. It's not about replacing them. It is about giving them an independent outside view, right? That is another way you can look at how fractional CTO can comes in. We come with a lot of expertise that we have gone through multiple years of experience with multiple organizations, how people do things differently, how they build product, how to have a product mindset, right? Building multiple products, because generally when the company CTO they are hiring, they will have worked into very specific domain, right? So but all people like me, they have worked across multiple domains, so we have seen different types of problems. We have solved problems in a non-traditional way, right? So that's another advantage that fractional CTO brings in as a part-time expertise, right? Other thing is I can think of is, let's say, uh, what works in the industry as well. Let's say you have a CTO full time is leaving, and it needs 5 to 6 months to hire a right candidate to onboard, right? So what is going to happen in that time? So fractional CTO is very, very handy at that point of time. We take over from the departing CEO, CTO. We understand the business, we understand the technology, we understand the team, we understand the processes. We run the show, and till the new guy is on board, he is able to hold on the baton. We play a pivotal role in that, right? So it does definitely work, whether it is part-time. It depends on how you want to engage, right? Some fractional works on project basis. It doesn't need to be part-time. They can be fully involved for a duration of project, right? It doesn't have to be by hour or by uh, let's say a couple of deliverables, right? So it depends how you want to engage. They have different engagement models actually.
That's a very interesting example when you mentioned that even a company may have a full-time CTO, but still a fractional CTO is required, probably as an advisory role, or probably the kind of depth of experience that they are bringing onto the table, so that they are more strategic in providing the inputs. They may not be involved in the day-to-day operation, but they are more strategic in providing the tech stack and other things which are at the strategic level, so that which can turns into the success of the product, and make sure that okay, there are more brains which are that are working on that success of product. Now while we are discussing this, I have one question coming from Shubham, and Shubham is asking, what is the future of fractional CTO services? Like, how do you see it evolving in the future further, especially like AI and those things are coming? So, what is the future of fractional CTO?
So that's really a very interesting question if you ask me. So I'll go back a bit in time. Since pandemic, a lot of things are happening, right? And uh, people need. There are multiple reasons why people want to go fractional, right? And definitely, I see a rise in this. And I've been contacted by a couple of people in last couple of months. What is your experience doing it? What are the challenges? What are the problems do you see? What is the growth that you're seeing, right? So so very in layman term, it is very mature concept in United States and Europe, but in Asia Pacific, this is a growing concept, right? People don't really know what is a fractional concept. They don't even know what is a fractional CTO, and even if they know, they're not ready to accept it that it is going to work. Like similar to like how we were asking uh, how a part-time CTO can work, right? Like you are expecting uh, them to be present when problem is there, right? So a lot of awareness has to be done in Asia Pacific. I Sometimes I do it when I get time. I do post about what the fractional is, how they work, how we can enable them, right? So we are doing a part of education to it. And challenges come like employers are not accepting this idea as of now, right? So, but once they engage, they realize the potential and then say, yes, can I have more of you? Like even with my current client, when I started, one of my clients, when I started, they engaged me for like only for 2 hours, and then within 2 weeks they asked me, oh, can I expand another 2 hours of your time, give me additional services, right? So I was quite happy, and I was just starting and in the beginning, right? So it was very uh, promising to see what I'm doing, it is in the right direction, right? And if I go back to my discussion earlier, right, when I started,
Sure,
I
sure.
didn't know any fractional CTOs in Singapore. I met someone in month of June or July, I guess, and I was very very happy and delighted to meet. At least I'm not the only person in Singapore doing this, right? And I didn't know a lot of people are already doing in Singapore. So now I think I know around 30 to 40 people in Singapore doing it. A couple of them I've met personally, and I see a growing demand of it, right? It's just a matter of time when people start doing it, and it is a like different people have different reasons to do it actually. So yeah, I was talking about the
Okay,
COVID challenge,
that's
right?
a
So
that's a very
COVID time.
pertinent thing. Yeah, yeah, please good. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so COVID has
No,
given us a
please
different
continue with
challenges,
the
right?
COVID time. What happened? Yeah.
Yeah, so people started working remote, right? And now a lot of employees are asking you have to work hybrid or you have to return to office. And I see a lot of people are not willing to do that, right? So people want to work on their own terms, their own conditions. They want to work on um, different problems, right? Uh, Working hybrid on their terms is one thing. Working on multiple projects, or like if you are working in a job as a CTO in a company, you have a very limited scope, right? You are bound to do what your employer is asking to do. But here as a fractional, you have a choice what other things you want to do, how much time you want to contribute in one domain, how much skills you want to obtain in a particular technology. Like even if I talk about AI, so I've been learning on AI quite some time, and I've been picking up it. And definitely it's a long journey to learn a lot of things and build it, right? That you may not be able to do being on your full-time regular job, right? So these are the perks that comes with being a fractional.
Yeah. So as you just mentioned that there are advantages as well to perform and the role in a fractional CTO manner. Thanks, Shubham, for asking the question, and I hope your question is answered. I have another question coming from Bhavna Mia. Bhavna Mia is asking, what is the duration for which fractional CTO remains involved in a project? What is your experience with this?
So duration is not something defined, like it's not a fixed definition. there are different models how a fractional can be involved, right? So it can be based on the scope, that I need to deliver this thing. I have this requirement. How you can help me with this requirement, right? So it can be based on the scope. It can be an ongoing, like for 6 months to 1 year, right? So there's no fixed answer to it. It depends on how do you want to involve it. But typically, I would assume it is 6 to 12 months uh, in in any organization, and definitely being a fractional, we would not. At least I would not prefer to stay forever. Uh, we have an exit strategy. We would want to make sure you get the value out of what you are paying to us. We are, like, a bit expensive, if you ask me, in terms of how much you pay a full-time CTO and how much if I work for you as a full-time, right? So we may end up being more expensive, but if you cut down the cost in fraction of time, right, definitely you get us cheaper, right? So going to the duration part, right, it is very demand specific how the SMEs and startup want us to be involved actually, and how much affordability they have actually. So that's why I was talking about the
Okay.
dollar and cents part.
Got it. So depending on the life cycle of the project, or the kind of expectation from the technical side of the project, or the engagement can be fluid. That, as you just
Yeah.
mentioned, that probably in the beginning where it is more of a advisory or small inputs part, then probably the engagement is less. And during the time when things start building up and you need more strategic inputs, then probably the engagement can be increased. And once we get into the the later stages of the product, where again, or probably a full-time CTO is hired by that time, then probably again it
Mm.
can we can have the engagement working more of an advisory role, that if things are
Yeah.
breaking or if things are not clear, then again you are involved. Otherwise the product is moving on its own. So that's a interesting example. But having said that, it is definitely, any new thing requires a different kind of mindset. So probably market and industry need to evolve to understand and grab this concept. Like people who, like earlier when project were delivered through the waterfall model, building agile was kind of difficult. People, it was hard for people to understand that how a agile project delivery will work. But now industry has matured that concept. So similarly, fractional CTO, as you just mentioned, that in US and Europe the concept is already well established and people are following the practices. But soon, with people like you, I'm sure there will be more fractional CTO that are going to grow. So thanks, Bhavna, for asking the question. Hope your question is answered. I have another question coming from Amit. There are different terms used in the industry. So are these same or different? Fractional CTO, part-time CTO, CTO as a service. Are they same, or there is different understanding of these terms?
Oh, okay. This is a very interesting question. So there are different terms, and there's an intersection in my view. I mean, there are different definitions of fractional CTO. I'm not saying anything is correct, anything is wrong. But in my view, if I see, if I look at different models of working, right? We have freelancing working model, we have part-time working model, we have a consultant who comes as an expert, right? And then we have a full-time CTO, right? So this concept come as an intersection of all of them, in my view, right? So when I say intersection, there are certain things that come as a freelance, certain thing that comes as a part-time, certain thing comes as a full-time, right? So let me explain that. When I say full-time, I'm talking about the knowledge and the experience that we have gained through our jobs. We have been working in this industry for so many years, right? We have built so many products. So that's how it is an intersection from that part. And if I talk about part time, because we don't engage full time, we work certain hours on the agreed, on the contract, right? That we will be devoting this much amount of work or time, right? So that's how it is an intersection on the part-time side. And then if I talk about freelance is basically like you engage me and I get this work done for you, and then this is our payment terms and condition, right? So that's how it is part of intersection of the freelance, right? And of course, we work as a consultant also, right? We are providing you strategy, we are providing you the solutions based on your problem, based on the need that you have, right? But why it is not freelance? Why it is not a freelance? For example, any university
Yeah.
graduate can start doing freelance work, part-time work, right? As a fractional, we don't do that, right? We have industry expertise, we have knowledge, we have gone through the pain of different problems, right? So that's how we are different from these, and I believe it is the intersection of all of this. And if I talk about CTO as a service, uh, this is kind of thing that when I was looking for fractional CTOs in Singapore, I happen to know one of the government service that Singapore is providing, government of Singapore is providing. They came up with this concept during COVID time to do a digital transformation of SMEs and startups with some predefined packages. Let's say if you want to talk about going your accounts digital, if you want to let's say your payroll to be digital, right? So they have engaged certain companies and certain vendors to make sure they get digitized very quickly. So this word I picked up from there, and when I started uh, networking with people, everybody's asking what is a fractional CTO, and then I started having this as a add-on, and people can relate and easily understand what is a CTO as a service, right? So it is like how we talk about infrastructure as a service, how we talk about software as a service, platform as a service. So all and everybody in the IT industry knows what that means, right?
Yep.
It is on demand. When you need, you scale it up, you scale it down. So it works the same way. You scale the needs, as you mentioned earlier, right? If you need us in the beginning for a couple of hours, then you want to increase our engagement, right? So you scale it up and down actually.
Sure.
So that's
Sure. Yeah.
all intersection and differentiation of that actually.
Yeah, so you gave a very well explained understanding of the different words and terminologies and what is unique about them. My next question, Deepak, would be that definitely the fractional CTO field is evolving, but having that nature of loosely coupled or probably a consultative nature, there must be some unique challenges that are faced by fractional CTO. So when you have been performing this role, that as compared to being a full-time CTO on the job, there must be some unique challenges. So what are those one or two unique challenges that are faced by fractional CTOs and how to overcome them?
Okay, it doesn't come easy, first of all, right?
Yeah.
There are hundreds of challenges I can talk about, right? But probably I will talk about post you have find your clients, right? I'm not going into how do you find your clients, how do you brand yourself, how do you market yourself, how do you network. I'll skip all these parts, right? So let's say
Yep.
now you are on the field, now you have clients, right? So so first thing comes is management of your time, right? So how do you manage your time with different clients? So for example, I have two clients. How do I allocate my hours for one client? How do I allocate my hours for the other client, right? So one way is you can have a fixed time that I'll be available for you on this time, but yet I have some flexibility that I may not be available, but that is on a pre agreement kind of base, right? So if you have, let's say, your three or four clients, it becomes even more challenging, right? So time management is a big challenge. Second thing I would say is the context switching, right? Because when you are with the client, they don't really know the pain that you're going through back in your mind with other clients. They don't even realize the pressure that you have delivering something on time with them. They are paying you and they're expecting you to deliver, right? So you are dealing with constant context switching every minute, right? Like within a team, if I talk about like as one of my client, right? Or it's common across all the client, right? As a CTO, you liaise with the DevOps team, you liaise with development team, whether it is a back end, front end, whether it
Yeah.
is your UI UX designer, you liaise with Scrum Master, you liaise with your infrastructure engineer, you liaise with your solution architect, you liaise with your product owners, your business analysts, your reporting to the higher management, and you're doing all this work with so many people in one company. And imagine you multiply it by three, and multiply it by number of products that you're working, right? So you can imagine the complexity of this world. It's not easy, right? So then comes your administrative work. How do you manage your calendar? Like, for example, it's a very obvious thing that, I have multiple calendars for each of my client. I have different slots, right? How do I holistically view when I'm available in a day, in in this way, right? And then you need to uh, make sure you have continuous flow of your clients, right? So so many challenges. I think I've been seeing. I'm still learning it. I mean, I just started my journey last year. It's only 7 months or 8 months so far, and couple of challenges I managed to solve it. But yeah, still it's quite a long journey for me to learn. I'm very novice about it, I would say.
So I can see your smiling face, and that same thing came to my mind that on one side, when we are saying that it's kind of a challenging environment, even delivering one product is a stressful situation. Now you're owner of more than one product. So even though the time engagement is limited, but still that ownership is there. That and the challenges are there, and the stress is there. So how do you manage the stress? Because earlier in the discussion you said that I don't take stress, but if this environment is such stressing, like what you can do to avoid it?
So one thing, apart from all this, right? I have a filter in my mind, right? That helps me to say, okay, now I'm doing X, I'm doing Y. So I have to cut off from X, I have to cut off from Y, right? And regarding the stress, right? So when I'm with client A or client B, I cannot show my stress to them, right? I have to
Yep.
be neutral to them, because it is fair for me to give my right services, right? I cannot bring the stress of one thing to the another thing, right? It ruins my reputations, right? But personally, on a personal level, I usually don't get stressed, to be honest. And yes, we all have some kind of anxiety. It does happen. So what I do is I take a break. So if I'm really not able to work, I will tell client I need some time off. All right, give me half an hour. I need to lighten up my mood or something like that, right? But usually I don't get stressed. I don't think about what happened. Whatever happened has happened. You can't change that, right? What you do next is the defining moment, right? You can't change past, but you can change the future. So that's how I think I have been groomed to look at the positive aspect in the future. What can you do, right? So I look at the problem one step at a time. I even step back what happened, to analyze it, right? How we can mitigate it in the future. So I take that as a learning, not get stressed about it, right? We do postmortem later on. Yes, not at the moment, but at least we try to fix the immediate issue. We try to calm down the situation. We try to put it file down, and then we do the analysis and make sure it doesn't happen again, right? So that is there.
Okay.
In my view, stress is always there, but how you handle it, that's very critical, and it comes as a part of this fractional. If you're a person who can't handle stress, I think about it, what you are getting into.
So probably, as you just mentioned, it's like now we have to go back and learn from the machines. The machines have started learning from us, and we need to go back and start learning from machine that how multitasking and multiprocessing was implemented, how the context switching was introduced in the machine by human being, and now we can learn the same from the machine that how they are doing context switching. We should be able to do context switching as well,
I
right?
mean, if you ask me, context switching is a very abused term, actually. Like, we say we can't do a context switching. It's just we have made it so popular. I mean, we have been doing it for years, right? I mean, when you are with your family, when you're with your friends, you behave very differently, right? Let's say you are with your family, you are with your child, and then all of a sudden your friend comes in the house, then you're a different person altogether. You don't need minutes to switch, you change it immediately, right? So we have been doing it. It's just that when we start talking about it, we say, oh, now we are not able to do it, right? So we are taken back with that. As a human, we are smart, we are intelligent, we have been doing it for thousands of the years. It's just that we don't want to accept it. I think that's a negative perception, that we are less capable
Okay.
than of the machines, right?
Okay, got it, got it.
Yeah.
We have many questions, but I would probably close the today's tech talk with this last one question, that if someone is actually interested in into getting into fractional CTO, like they have done, like in your case, so what do you recommend? Should they start alone, like start getting the clients alone, or they probably join a services like yours, like as a fractional CTO, they can make your themselves available to your kind of companies who are getting the clients, and then they can assign the project? What do you think, what works well?
So I mean, going solo is very challenging, right? Because nobody knows you in the first place, right? You have to find clients. You need to know where to go and find the clients, right? So like while when I started, I
Yeah.
I've never been very open and networking kind of a person. I just used to do my work. I am on my desk at 9 a.m. 6 p.m. is the time that I will leave home, right? Sorry, I will leave my office. I usually not used to work long hours, but within that 9 to 6, I will completely focus on the work. I will focus on the product that I'm building, and the rest of the time I will use to spend on learning, upgrading myself, right? Kind of technology that are coming in future, right? And even I was doing a bit of volunteer work for one of the organization in Singapore, and I built a product for them for like single-handed. For I did coding for like 3 years to build a simple solution for them. It is pretty basic solution that I built for them, but they needed it, right? And I was the only person single-handedly build that system. It took almost like 3 years. And why it took 3 years, I used to have family. I used to have my full-time job, so only time I get is in early morning, like 5 to 6 in the morning. So that was the time that I used to spend, and a couple of days I don't even do that, right? So so if people want to do this kind of work, they need to understand why they want to do it, right? Going solo is very, very challenging. Like being a technical person, you don't know how to market, how to brand, how to sell your services, right? How to get a work, how to do your contracts, how you define your like, even if I say invoices, right? There are multiple challenges. How do you do your accounts? How do you make sure you are getting well paid by account? What is your market rate, right? So it is challenging, but it is rewarding as well, right? So if you are going with the other companies who are established, yes, that is another way, right? And I would suggest go both ways. It is a learning journey. Always you try to see what you can get yourself and what you get advantage from the other companies, right? So I would suggest both ways. Try both, and it always gives you some learning. Uh, like I learned a lot of things through this journey, like how I network with people. Right? Earlier, I used to not go to any of the talks. I never used to go to any event. Now I'm very shameless. I just go and talk to people, like this is what I'm doing, and people get interested to know about more about me, right? And some of the people just listen to you. Some of the people will really come and contact you, right? So I would say try it, but don't start like me, like how I did. There's a lot of pain starting that way, but if you can get through, and if you ask me honestly, how my experience is, it is a roller coaster ride. I've been enjoying it. At times, I feel uh, okay, it is challenging, and next day I'm back to my work, back to normal, and I see, yes, I'm doing really well, and I'm going to scale it, right? So I started as an individual, and I'm hoping to scale it to multiple clients, multiple uh, CTOs. I'm actually going to make this happening probably second half of the year, to scale this concept actually in Singapore, in India, and in Southeast Asia. So I've been in touch with a couple of CTOs who are willing to embark on this journey and see how we can uh, get work for each other, how we can help startup SMEs. Right, that's what I'm doing right now.
Thanks, Deepak. Thanks for answering that question. And as you reflected upon, that entrepreneurial journey in itself is a unique journey, and one has to, because with my personal experience, I can surely say that once you are in a job, you are working in a well-established ecosystem. But once you are in your own, like, it's there is a difference between being in garden or being in jungle. Like, entrepreneurship will place you in the marketplace directly. You don't have the support system. So once you master that support system, you have to challenge your abilities, you have to master yourself. You will gradually realize that first you have to master yourself, the time management, emotional outbreaks. And once you can do that, definitely there are a lot of opportunities, and there are those leverage that comes out. So as you mentioned, probably the both ways is a right way. Once we are talking about fractional services, definitely we need to have that mindset that it's not this or A or B. We can have A and B. So definitely, as you mentioned, probably once they can empanel themselves on various companies that are offering fractional services, and then they can, in the meantime, they can also keep fetching the clients on their own. So, and then they decide that whatever works best for them, they continue with that, and then they can get into the fractional CTO journey. Thanks, Deepak. Thanks for taking out your time to help us understand and our audience understand that how the fractional CTO are on the rise, and how these fractional services are going to reshape the future that we are going to see. Thanks again for being on VectoScalar Tech Talk show.
Yeah, thanks, Vikas, for having me. I really appreciate your time as well, having me on this and giving me a wonderful opportunity to share my experience, my knowledge with team, with the audience. I hope I made some difference to somebody to think about it. And please feel free to reach out to me through my LinkedIn, or you just search for my name. I think you will find, you just search my name and put Singapore in the search, you will find me easily. Uh, so don't hesitate if you have questions. I'm more than happy to spend a couple of my minutes to share, talk very specific, or you can just drop me a text on LinkedIn. I'm more than happy to help in any ways, in anybody, if that makes a difference to anybody's life, actually. Thanks again,
Thanks,
Vikas.
Deepak, for thanks for offering that service as well. That you are willing to shell out some time if that can help others. And your LinkedIn profile is there in the bottom of the screen. So people who are interested in contacting you on LinkedIn, they can follow this profile, linkedin.com/in/Goel Deepak. And if they watch this show again, they can refer to the website mentioned at the back of your site, which is fractionalservice.co, and email is also mentioned. So thanks, audience, for watching the VectoScalar Tech Talk show. You have been a great audience always, and we can see the participation is growing eventually. So happy to see the participation growing. Whenever you have any question, do type in the comment box below, and we'll be happy to answer your queries. In case you have any recommendation, you can also type in the comment to share any guest speaker or probably a topic of your choice which you want to cover in future Tech Talk show. Thanks again and have a nice day ahead. Till then, keep learning, keep going. Bye bye. Have a nice day. Thanks, Deepak.
Yeah, thanks, Vikas.